Greetings, Kindred. I am Voivode Maquette, and welcome back to our world of darkness and another episode of Level by Level, where in this playlist we are going through all of the different powers that the gifts of animalism have to offer. And in my opinion, we're about to hit one that is vital for a lot of gangrel survival, and possibly even the Nosferatu, and that is the level 3 animalism discipline of animal succulence, a highly overrated power. But when we're dealing with Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition, where we don't just have generation but also have blood potency, and the downsides to having a higher blood potency being that you have to feed off stronger and stronger things, animal succulence is something that definitely is important and can prove useful as time goes by. Now, the book says the vampire can slake additional hunger by feeding on animals. In addition, the vampire can consume its famulus, gaining nourishment far beyond that would be gained from an animal of similar stature and absorbing a sliver of its primal traits. This power, where it does give you the benefits of feeding off of animals and gaining extra nourishment from that, it also opens up a dark side, which I think could possibly cause stains, and that is the ability to devour your famulus, which could truthfully be one of the more disgusting, evil things that a vampire who sees themselves as a more primal predator than the city-dwelling Ventru or Toreador might. I do think that this is one of those things that could affect a vampire profoundly as they perform the act. Now, that being said, I can also see certain vampires doing this on purpose to gain specific abilities and not actually feeling what most would feel in that process. Now, going on, the cost is free. There is no cost for this because you are draining. You don't need to make a rouse check when you're feeding. The system says feeding from animals slakes 1 additional hunger, and the vampire counts their blood potency as 2 levels lower in regards to penalties of slaking hunger from animal blood. Consuming one's famulus slakes 4 hunger regardless of the animal's size. This act can never remove the final hunger die. In addition, consuming one's famulus increases the vampire's attribute associated with that animal as determined by the storyteller by 2 dots. Consuming a cat might raise dexterity or composure. Consuming a dog might raise charisma or resolve. Storytellers may vary the reward from famulus companion. Draining an owl might raise the attribute in any perception pool by 2 dots, or in pools involving wise decision making. The bonus lasts until the vampire's next feeding or until their hunger reaches 5. Duration passive. This is just something you get while feeding. So this is a temporary boost. So I would personally not hold tight on caps when it comes to this, because it's such a fleeting effect. And where I can see certain vampires doing this in times of great need, it's not something that I see most doing on a regular basis. This isn't a I'm going to be spending the evening in Elysium, so I should probably swill down this cat that I adore and who I've shared my power with, so that I can have a higher composure, so I can be better off in Elysium. This is something where it's more like I'm going to feed off of this animal that has served me for so long, so loyally, to get this trait, because if I don't, we're going to die. This does need to be a last hold bar. It's effort, something that just needs to be used in great emergency. Now, thinking about animal succulence in general, being able to feed off an animal and get an additional hunger fed off, but also acting as if you are 2 blood potency lower than you actually are while feeding on animals is such an important thing. Now, I can see a lot of vampires skipping over this and wanting to get into the Quell the Beast or the Unliving Hive or something like that for level 3s, but the idea of animal succulence being used is just a survival technique as a vampire gets older, because it is going to get harder and harder for you over time to feed on animals. I am Voivode Maquette, and this is Our World of Darkness, and thank you for joining me at this look of animal succulence, one of the most important survival tactics in Vampire the Masquerade, in my opinion. If you have used this for anything, and including the Bon Familis, have you found yourself in the need to devour such a devoted companion? What did it do to your character? How did your character feel about it? And for storytellers, have you enforced a loss of humanity or a gaining of a stain when it comes to participating in the devouring of familiars? I am very, very curious if anybody has any interesting animal succulence stories. Class dismissed.